Hello, everybody. Hello. And for those catching the replay, hey, thank you for watching the replay of my video. I'm usually live on Wednesdays. Yesterday was quite a day. This week has been quite a week. Honestly, I'm hanging on by a wing and a prayer, but I'm going to get into that in a second. I'm just handling my socials. You got to let everybody know that they could join and all of that good stuff. So I'm just getting that together. But today we are going to be talking about friendship and community. So I've actually talked about this on a panel that I was a part of for the new year. And I'm going to be taking some of those same points because it was like it wasn't even really a panel. It was like a women's event. So I'm just doing my socials and then we are about to, hey sis. Yeah, I had put on my stories to catch me at 3:15 because I was trying to get myself together and my son together. So I'm just doing my socials. I had to use StreamYard. Hey Shay. Hey everybody. Don't forget to like as you're coming in and feel free to invite people to join us. I'm just doing the socials and then we're going to get started. And I'll do announcements and housekeeping as well. But because there might be some changes coming down the pike. So I'll let you guys know. Let me just type this really quick. But I hope y'all are doing good. And you guys already know about my knee. So my knee has been going through it. I literally was stooping down yesterday to tie my shoe. And I went to get up and it just said like pop. And it just went like out of alignment. Like I probably honestly dislocated it, to be honest, like the way it happened. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like it was the worst feeling ever. I literally could not walk. I had to get my mom to get me the chair. I struggled to stretch my leg out and then she massaged it and got it like back into position and all that good stuff. And so it like snapped back into position. And I was able to do my Uber Eats yesterday, but I just had to be careful getting in and out the car. So okay, so I did the socials. We're good to go. Let me pull up my notes as well. Let's see. And then I'm going to do the housekeeping in a second. Y'all, like running these social media accounts it's crazy. It's a lot that goes into it. So hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Yeah, it was really painful. I was like, oh my God, it was the worst feeling ever. I was sweating. I felt like my blood pressure was going up because I was so panicky. I was like, I can't even walk. It was the most painful thing ever. So I'm just playing it by ear today. I was able to take a shower easier today and stuff because I always shower when I get back in the road. I shower twice a day because I'm anal like that. I think about cleanliness. But I was like struggling last night. But today was easier. So, okay, I got my notes up, did my socials. Like I said, as you're coming in, don't forget to like, or those of you catching the replay, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, every like matters. It pushes the video out through YouTube to more people. So I appreciate you guys watching and joining me live, of course. So housekeeping before we dive into today's topic. So yesterday I tried to go live and for some reason it would not let me go live straight from YouTube on my laptop. Like typically when I go live, I just, click go live up at the top, like under the create button and all of that. And I always like pre-schedule my live so that way it could start being promoted on the platform through the algorithm and stuff. And it just kept saying like I had to link it through my cell phone. And so it was the weirdest thing ever. Now, granted, my house has been having like an issue with the breaker or something else. I don't know. It's something with the electrical box or whatever, like every so often because it's going bad, which I don't understand why it is because this is a new house, but that's a whole nother story with property management and stuff like that. But it'll like slide down sometimes. And if there's a storm or whatever, especially, it'll shut off. And so, or like it's just a cloudy day. I don't know. It's weird. And so that happened like a couple of nights ago. And when I came back upstairs, it's like my laptop just wasn't the same. So I'm just like, you know what? Maybe it was something with that. I don't know. Because I don't think YouTube changed anything. But either way, I'm going to have to just go through StreamYard or use my cell phone to go live. So doing that, by the time I figured all that out yesterday, it was like 3:30. 3:45, and of course you guys know Yasmin goes live on Wednesdays too, so I was like I don't want to rush through it because we obviously all try to support each other and we're in the same circle. So I just got to thinking, I'm like, well, why don't I just go live on Thursdays? And then I thought to myself, I wasn't going live on Thursdays because I was doing Thriving Thursdays on my business Instagram page. But then I'm like, well, I could just do Thriving Thursdays on YouTube, tell my Instagram family to come on YouTube, and then I could just post the replay or snippets of the replay on my IG and just call it a day. Because at the end of the day, it's like you can listen on here. I thought that StreamYard would allow me to stream on YouTube and Instagram, but it's only YouTube and Facebook. And I do have a Facebook group. It's not active. Maybe I'll actually start making it active. Who knows? So I can stream on there too, as at the same time as I'm streaming on YouTube. But nevertheless, all of that to say, I think I'm going to go live on Thursdays now because it will allow me to kill two birds with one stone. It will allow me to not necessarily have to worry about getting into Yasmin's time or Yasmin worrying about getting into my time and stuff. We could support her on Wednesdays. She has a day. And then I could just come on Thursdays and knock out the live for both platforms on the same day instead of having to go live Wednesday and then live Thursday and all that good stuff. So the lives are going to be Thursdays. I know the flyers and stuff say Wednesdays. I'm going to change it to Thursdays. I think the time is still good. I don't typically go live later in the night. I know a lot of people are home at night, but that's typically when I'm doing my Uber Eats, or if I have to go to the store or I'm meeting up with a friend or whatever, it's usually in the evenings because my friends, that's when they're off work and stuff like that. So ideally I would like to go live at like 8:00 or whatever, but until I get monetized, it's just gonna have to be during the day. Now when I'm monetized, wink, wink, okay, make sure y'all are subscribed and all that, then I can do it whenever because I'll be able to really focus in on YouTube and presenting more content. So just look for me on Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern for now, for live streams. And like I said, if I could figure out how to stream to Instagram at the same time, I will. If not, I'll just do it on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So we shall see how that goes. Me too, girl, my BO with this weather makes you have to take 2 showers a day. I'm telling you, I'm just like a clean freak and I'm a germaphobe. I'm really one of those people that I don't like seeing dust on furniture. I don't like water on the sink. Water on the sink freaks me out. I hate water left on any sink. Even in public, I don't put my purse down on any type of table top, unless it's wiped down. I'm really just anal about germs, and I've been like that even before Rona, but with Rona made it 10 times worse. So, so I always shower twice a day, but especially in the summertime, even if you might miss a shower, let's just be real, you might miss a shower or something like that. Summertime, we don't have room for that. It is too hot. Ain't nobody got time to be musty out here. So, that's just what it is. But, I thought they would have IG, but for some reason they don't, which makes no sense to me. So when people that go live on Facebook and IG at the same time, I'm like, they must have 2 different devices, or I don't know, maybe there's another platform that allows you to do it, or maybe, no, I don't even think the paid version of StreamYard lets you do it. It wasn't listed as a platform, which makes no sense, but here we are. So, but like I said, I do have a Facebook group, so I might actually just start pouring into that because it does allow a little bit more camaraderie on Facebook. So we'll see, because I don't know. I'm just really in a stage where I'm trying to just assess what's the best use of my time because I have so many platforms to run. So that's all the housekeeping stuff. Next week, I will be live with my mom. I'm going to probably, let's see, next week, what's next Thursday, the 17th. So that's the first day of my boot camp. My boot camp starts at 6 p.m. So yeah, I'm still going to be live on Thursday, but we probably going to be an hour and a half top so I can prepare to teach the boot camp that, for my business or whatever. So you'll catch us here through the StreamYard and all that good stuff. So anywho, today we are talking about friendship and community. It is very important, okay? And like I said, this is something I talked about during a women's event at the beginning of the year with a private event. And so these are really the same points. I'm probably going to add some things in. Of course, you guys already know how we do. We go on tangents here. We laugh, we joke, we do all of the things. So we are going to go ahead and dive on in, okay? So honestly, the reason why I wanted to talk about community is because community in fellowship, it's needed, especially as a believer. You cannot do life alone. I think last year taught us that. 2020 taught us how important relationships are. Even introverts were I need to be around people because we're just not made to be alone. We're made to be able to reach out and touch somebody, And so it's important. And especially as a Christian, it's you need people that can affirm you, especially the way that the world is going now. You need people that can remind you as to why you're doing what you're doing and encourage you and just not have you out here feeling crazy and antiquated and just weird, So it's very, very important because iron sharpens iron. And we can see even in the Garden of Eden that it all started there, because God said it's not good for man to be alone. And even though a lot of people take that scripture in Genesis 2, 18, yeah, Genesis 2:18. People take that scripture and they apply it only to romantic relationships. It's like that can be for anything. Like, yes, Adam and Eve were the first marriage, but they also were, I'm hoping they were friends, that they liked each other and that they were able to tolerate each other and all of that. It's like God knew that we needed community, and even God himself, it's a triune God, so even when we look at God, it's like he still is a community in a way. It's like he's not me, myself, and I solo dolo. There's three beings in one unit, if that makes sense. So I wanted to talk on that for those reasons, but even with virtual community, it's still important to have it. And honestly, I feel like most of my community nowadays, especially people that are living like how I'm trying to live, trying to honor God, trying to live a better life, turn over a new leaf from old and toxic habits, whatever. Like, honestly, y'all are online. Like, I have literally two people near me that I hang out with and talk to frequently and stuff. One is Michelle and the other one is my photographer. And I met them online either way. So it's like online has really been the catalyst for me to meet a lot of people in the past 2 years, to be honest, because even before I moved down here, when I first started creating content in 2019, I did it because I had moved to Central Virginia and I didn't know a lot of people because I was like 2 hours from where I'm originally from in Maryland. And so I was like, okay, I need to meet people. I want to share my life. I want to just get out and kind of share my world about being a single mother and stuff. And so it started forming these relationships, and some of those people I still talk to, and some people I don't anymore, but I've met people along the way who really align with me and really give me life, because y'all are like the bee's knees. I talk to y'all more than I talk to even like my real life friends a lot of the time, it's like that because we're in the same world. And not only are we trying to honor God, but we're also kind of walking the same path as all being content creators of different sorts. In this case, all of us are YouTubers in some way, shape, or form. Even you, Kendall, okay, you're a YouTuber. So we're all doing the same thing, and it just makes it that much sweeter. So I want to share some points as to why community is important for Christians, some advice on how you can expand your community, and then we'll just kind of ebb and flow, whatever the Spirit leads me to say, whatever y'all chime in and say, we just going to rock it out. And that's good to have people in close proximity too. I miss going grocery shopping and doing things with my friends, but we are all in separate states. Oh yeah, trust me, I feel that. I saw a post actually the other day, I think it was last night, about, there's a specific term that they call it, but it's like when you just meet up with someone and you just hang out. I think it's Aaron bonding, or it's Aaron something or something like that. But I was like, this is a thing, like this is the term, because I've been doing this. Like me and my best friend, especially one of my best friends in particular, because me and her, for the most part, always lived near each other. Even when I had first moved to Virginia, she eventually moved because I convinced her to move, and her and her husband moved. So we literally would just like get together. I'll be like, girl, what you doing? I'm not far from your house. Like, let's go to Target. We even before we had kids, and when we had kids, we throw the kids in the car. My son and her two kids, they call each other cousins and stuff because we literally have seen each other pregnant. They know each other from birth. So we just be like, we're going to Target, stop, get some food, take them to the park. We plan mommy and children dates, and they'll be impromptu. And I'm just like, I think there's something sweet about that when you could hang out with someone and do the mundane. I think that sometimes we think in order to have great relationships, you always have to be like doing something always has to be on the calendar. You always have to plan. It's like, it's the spontaneity for me. And I understand we can't be as spontaneous as we want, but you can definitely still do it. Like, I'm all about the pull up. I will straight pull up on you, not like literally knocking on your door and I didn't let you know. But if I'm not far from your house, I'm that type of friend where I'm like, girl, are you free today? Like, what's up? Or I'm gonna be by your house tomorrow. Like, you want to go get something to eat? Or I'm that friend. Like, I'm super spontaneous when it comes to stuff like that. But there's people that make me look like a planner because, I do think you got to have some respect. But yeah, I understand what you mean. Oh, Daily Delle, you're too kind. Seriously, you're a YouTuber. Yes, be good. Be good. But I do need to come see you. I haven't been up that way since 2018. And when we went to Illinois, actually, no, I'm lying. 2019, I passed by where you're at to go to Minnesota. So, but we do need to go back for real. Yes, it's about the pull up for me. Cause I'm like, what? I'm that friend. Like, don't let you not answer my calls for a while either. I'm pulling up for real at that point. Like when one of my good friends, she wasn't answering my calls for a while because she was going through stuff. I pull up at her house. I was like, hello, I've been calling. I'm like that's me. I'm knocking at the door. I'm like, what's up? Like, are you good? What's going on? Because for real, like, you just don't know. Something could be happening with that person, God forbid, and you just don't know. So I'm gonna pull up. If you don't call me back in like 24, 36 hours, I'm pulling up. Like, nope. What's going on here? Especially when that's like not like you, you do need to come down here. Everybody needs to be in Atlanta at some point. Like, I'm excited. One of my other best friends is coming next week. Well, like a week and some days. And we about to cut up, y'all. We about to cut all the way up. So I'm so excited. I'm like, yes, come down here. Everybody come, let's spend time with me. But the first point that I have is community provides accountability. So Hebrews 10:24-25 tells us to consider how we can spur one another towards love and good deeds. And James 5:16 encourages us to confess our sins to one another and pray for one another. This is accountability. So I want to touch on Hebrews first. So Hebrews 10:24, I don't have the exact verse in front of me, but like I said, it tells us to consider how we can spur one another towards love and good deeds. So this is why they always say the company that you keep is important, because if you're not spurring each other on to being more loving, being your best self, and not just in a materialistic way, but more patient, more loving, more kind, more empathetic, more compassionate, like just really being encouraged and sharpened in that way, you might want to reevaluate your circle, because you are going to end up being like the people that you spend the most time with. If you're not careful, they're going to rub off on you in some way, shape, or form. And so you really want to make sure, especially as a believer, that you have people that can do that for you. Now, they might get on your nerves at times because, when, like for me, for example, I'm not the most patient person. I know you guys are shocked, but I'm very impatient, honestly. Like, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, if I'm patient with you, to be honest, like, I probably either don't know you like that, or it's gonna sound so weird, but I probably don't really care for you. I know it makes no sense whatsoever, but listen, I can't explain it. It's just like, if I'm comfortable with you, I tend to get more impatient because I think I expect more, because it's like, listen, like, we've reached a point in our relationship where you should know what I need, where I know what you need, and we should just be doing better at this point. Like, we should not still be dealing with this. It's really bad. I know, I'm working at it. But if I'm around people that just encourage me to keep being impatient, then I'm not going to want to grow, But if I'm around people that are like, you should really just be a little bit more patient in this situation, or be a little bit more kind or whatever, it's going to get on my nerves in the moment. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to cap to y'all. I'm going to be like, thank you for that good word. No, I'm going to be annoyed. But in my moments, when I calm down and I think about it, then I'll be like, you know what? Like, they're right. I really do need to do better with this. But it's all in the delivery, though. Like, it's all in the delivery and who's saying it too. Like, you have to be aware of that as well, because one person's words might resonate with you more than somebody else's, but they might be telling you the same thing just because of the relationship that you guys have or whatever. But the Holy Spirit and God could use anybody or anything. I mean, heck, in the Bible, a donkey had to get through to somebody. So, it's never out of God's way. Like, he's going to get the message across however he has to. Girl, I do the most. So if somebody is my friend, they're comfortable with my impromptu, spontaneous, and silly self, period. Like, I love hard. I love loud. I love big. I'm a big personality. So I give it all. There is no middle ground with me. I'm either all in or all out. So it can be a lot for some people, it can be a lot. I'm focusing now on the word. Yes, because you're real patient with me. And with Christian, you're really, wow. I'm really showing a good face online, because Christian be working my nerves sometimes. Like, getting ready for this live stream, I was getting him ready with his lunch and all that with my sister, because he hasn't been sleeping at night, y'all. And I don't know what's going on. The other night I was in his room. Thankfully, he has a big boy bed now, because that little toddler bed, I have fallen asleep on that some nights. And I was scrunched up in the fetal position trying to get him to sleep, because he just will not sleep. Like, this man does not get tired. And he was watching me sleep. He was patting me on the back while I was laying down. And I'm just like, I'm waking up and I'm just like, why aren't you asleep? He's wide awake, just like, yeah, Mom, I'm watching you, up in my face. I open my eyes and he's like right here. I'm just like, you know what? He hasn't been sleeping the past 2 nights, but I've been patient. I wasn't patient though when I was getting ready for this live, because he was squeezing my eyelash glue out. And I don't have any more of my magnetic lashes. So I was already feeling some type of way, because now I'm addicted to magnetic lashes. It's just a lot simpler. And so I had to go old school, with the dual eyelash glue, and he was squeezing it out. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, I low-key kind of snapped on him, but I try to apologize in those moments, when I snap or lose my patience. I try to apologize so he's not like thinking it's normal to accept that kind of behavior. But girl, I'm the one who needs the donkey because I'm still I'll be like, God, is that you? Listen, God was like, I'm not going to tell you again now. All right, listen. Girl, that's no for me. Boy, be up at 3 a.m. Right, like, ooh, ooh. Hey, we don't get tired. Like, I'm like, listen, I'm going to need you to sleep. But you know what? I'm going to pay for it in his teenage years because he's going to be catching up on sleep then. I'm going to be like, listen, you need to get up, get this trash out, clean this kitchen, and he gonna be sleeping in his room. So I'm gonna need him to sleep now so he can wake up and do those chores later. Okay, don't try to pay it forward. So, and then James 5:16, it just says, it encourages us to confess our sins to one another and pray for one another. So that's a biggie, especially the confessing sins. Like as a believer, you don't only need community to encourage you to be your best self and, iron sharpening iron and all of that. But a part of that sharpening process is confessing your sins to one another. Now, not in the sense of like you go to a confessional and you're like, oh, I did this, I did that, and asking for forgiveness from somebody. Like, we don't have to do that. You have direct access to God. But in the sense of like, just being vulnerable. So like, and I think that comes when you have community that's naturally close, because as humans, we tend to want to be accepted and to gain the approval of the people around us. So if you're a part of a church community, for instance, like my church home back in Virginia, now the church is growing pretty big. I mean, they're planting churches now because it's been growing pretty big. But, when I first joined, it was like probably about 100 members every week that would come and maybe 150 on the books. So we were pretty, including children and everything. So we were a pretty close-knit church community because, 100 people, you could pretty much know everybody you go to church with. And we know within our Bible studies and our Bible study groups and stuff, we met so frequently, you're going to really start forming relationships. And so because the community was so tight knit, it kept you in check, if that makes sense. So you might not have always come out and been like, oh, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that, and this, that, and just, laying it all on the table. But the fact that you do see them at the grocery store, because we all pretty much lived in the same neighborhood too, within, I would say 15, 20 minutes of each other. So you might see each other at the Costco, or you might see them at the Walmart or whatever, or you might see them at the park, because there was like 2 or 3 parks that all the moms used to like to go to because, they were the nicest in the area. And so when you're constantly seeing these people and you're constantly living life together, you're going to think twice. You're going to be like, do I really want to be out here, like, let's just say, getting drunk, toe up from the flow up, and I might see them across the street? Like, do I really want to be partaking in drugs if I might see them at the Exxon gas station? Like, you start to think twice, because then they're gonna be like, weren't you just in Bible study reading the word, and now you higher than a kite and stumbling over your words and stuff? Like, it's just, you really start to think twice. And those are just little forms of accountability, like without you even confessing. But then even as you have those relationships, and you, like within the Bible study groups, for instance, in the life groups, you're going to have 1 or 2 people that you really cling to and form bonds with. And so you can have those transparent conversations. Because I have many a transparent conversation with people when I was angry with God, when I was tired, when I felt like I was higher than a kite. And, I just felt angry, or I felt upset or abandoned or whatever. And we would really just talk about it, especially when I was pregnant, because I joined the church when I was pregnant. So I was dealing with a lot. I was really dealing with a lot of trauma at that point. And so there was like 2 women. One was in my life group. Her husband and her actually hosted it at their house. And then the other one, we were just the same age, both young Black women. So we just like connected with each other, because my church was pretty mixed as far as demographic too. I'll say that it was a pretty mixed church. And so yeah, we just used to talk. I used to just let them know, like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm struggling with right now. This is what I'm scared about. This, that, the third. And I wasn't judged because of it. And they weren't like, girl, I think it's important to give each other that space to actually like listen to one another too, and not just want to jump into encouragement or like a word. Let me say that, not just jump into a word, because I feel like sometimes as believers, we always want to just get straight into, I got a word for you, I got a revelation. And it's like, sometimes I just need to know that you hear me though. Like, you hear me and you can empathize with me, or at least sympathize with me, and then you can encourage me. So it was nice to have those relationships where it's like, right now, like, I don't necessarily need a word. I just need an ear. I just need you to listen. I just need you to hold my hand and give me a shoulder to cry on. And then we can get a word, So I just want to encourage us to not even just skip over that, because I get it. We want to encourage people. We want to share the word. We want to just snap people out of it and get them back into their old, happiness or whatever. But it's like, sometimes they just need a moment to process. I'm one of those type of people. I got to go through the motions. Girl, I have been a part of 2 Bible studies today that confirmed my next video that I'm scared to put out. Wow. Oh, snap. The fact that you're scared to put it out means it's about to be fire. It's about to be Holy Ghost fire. I can't wait. I'm still catching up on your other videos, but they are looping in the background, just so you know. But I have to go back and comment. I try to keep up with you guys' comments within that 24 to 48 hours because I know it's really crucial on YouTube for that, activity on the algorithm and stuff and whatnot. So I'm going to get to it. I promise. But yes, we got to listen. So loving correction and accountability is a must as you walk with Christ, because you really don't want to be a spiritual orphan. So you don't want to be out here just going through the motions. I mean, honestly, not if you're really trying to grow with Christ, because I'm just going to be real. I'm going to keep it 100. There are moments in your walk where you're like, I don't really feel like dealing with accountability. I don't really feel like, hey, Yasmin, hey, sis. I don't really feel like dealing with community and talking and sharpening each other. Like, it's just, trust me, you're going to get to those points. Like, it happens. We're human. You hit a plateau and you're just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm not really here for it. So in those moments, I say, like, don't abandon God. Like, God is still there with you. Try to find something that could keep you at least tethered. If that's praise and worship, it's praise and worship. If it's reading the word, it's reading the word. If it's prayer, it's prayer. If it's fasting, it's fast. Whatever it is, but try to stay tethered in some way, even when you feel far from God, even when you feel like I'm a spiritual orphan right now, find something. But when you get out of that, plateau and you're starting to feel reignited and stuff like that, that's where the accountability helps. Because, and this is why the community is important, because even if you're in a season where you feel like about God, energy, like I always say, it's transferred. So if you're around people that are on fire for Christ, you're around people that, I mean, honestly, not like a superficial fire, like they're just saying all the platitudes and the cliches. I mean, like they're honestly just like pouring out and they're like, I'm going all in. Eventually it's going to make you want to go all in. Like, you just got to kind of, I would say, honestly, in those times when you feel like a spiritual orphan, lean in a little more, like maybe hang around those people a little bit more. Maybe if you can't get around them, call them, or, tune into, if they have, if they're pastors or whatever, tune into their stuff, like go to their events, like try to get in the atmosphere so that it can transfer to you, because that energy is going to transfer to you. But if you leave yourself like an orphan, like just isolated, it's going to get worse, or it's going to take at least a longer time for you to get reignited if you really desire it. Because some people, they hit those plateaus and it's like, oh, well, I'm not following God anymore. Honestly, like it really depends on what got you in that plateau. If it was a traumatic event, if it was some church hurt, like, it's so many different things that could get you to a plateau, but it's there for sure. I have to catch up on 2 lives now. The girls and I are out getting ice cream. Oh, yay, ice cream. Eat some ice cream for me because I'm still fasting. Who, Lord, help me. But yes, enjoy your ice cream and have a good time with the girls. I know I got to take Christian out for ice cream, but that's going to be July after this fast. I'm not even going to tempt myself like that. It's already hard enough with Uber Eats. But girl, I've been there, so I get it. Exactly. Like those plateaus, I'm just like, I've been there many a time. Like, you walk with God long enough, you're going to get to that point where you feel like a spiritual orphan, but you got to lean in, like find somebody or some community, because all it does is it leaves you vulnerable for the devil to attack. And it's going to make the sin in your life be amplified if you're consistently on your own. Like, when you are, let's say, going into battle, and I haven't been in battle, so I might be completely off of this analogy for my veterans or military personnel. My bad if I am, but I just think about, like, you have soldiers around you. You got people that are in front of you. You got people next to you. You got people watching your back. Like, so you're not completely vulnerable unless you like get away from the rest of the troops or whatever. But that's where that whole like no man left behind comes and things like that. So if you have that community, even if it's just a few people, it's going to help you, because you might not even notice certain attacks in your life, but the community around you will notice it. So like, for prime example, I always tell you guys, there's one of my friends on here. Well, she's not on here anymore. She kind of stopped doing YouTube. If you see this girl, it's no shade. I'm just saying. But she's focused more so on her ministry and her blog and her Instagram and all of that, because that's really taken off. And we try to meet once a week to pray. I mean, the past few months, we've been both dealing with a lot. So we're just understanding each other in these seasons and trying to be supportive. But when I tell you, like, there will be things that she will literally have dreams about things that are coming in my life in the spiritual realm. Like they're either coming or happening in the spiritual realm. And she would tell me, and then like somebody else in my community amongst my friends, either online or in person, will have a similar dream. Like, no lie, y'all. I got to tell you this. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I'm gonna literally tell y'all this. So I'm trying to think how many months ago it was. It might have been February, either late February or early March. It was around the time I was having those issues with the guy that I was dating, and we ended up breaking up and all of that. That's gonna have to be a story time sometime in the future. But needless to say, I was talking to her about this, and you know how everything was just kind of like unraveling, but it looked like it was really promising. Like, when I tell y'all, I really thought this was my husband, to the point where I got confirmation that this was my husband, like that kind of stuff. And so I was just like, this is great. Things started going left. I'm talking like just everything going left, all sorts of stuff happening just out of the blue, completely different side of this person and whatnot. And so she had a dream, and the dream was basically like we were in a car, and like there were these presences, this presence in the back. I said presences, Lord, I can't even speak. There was a presence or in the back, or like one or two, I don't know how many, but they were in the back seat of the car, and they were like throwing my stuff out the car, but I was oblivious. Like, I was just driving down the road, completely oblivious. And we were going somewhere where we shouldn't have been going. Like, she said the place we were going had given her an uneasy feeling, but I didn't know all of this. Like, I was just driving the car. She had the uneasy feeling. She was seeing the presence in the back, you know, throwing the stuff out, and like literally everything that's valuable to me, they're just throwing it out the car, and she's like trying to catch it and all this kind of stuff. And then we were, I don't know, I can't remember if we got to the destination or whatnot, but basically it was like this person was like trying, or these things or whatever, were trying to sabotage me. Literally, like, I want to say a month later, another one of my friends from Instagram had the almost exact same dream. The only difference was that we were going to a different destination, and we got to the destination and people were mocking us because of our faith. But literally the details, like down to the details of how it was happening and all of that, it was the exact same dream. I literally called the first friend, and they don't know each other or anything. They're in two different states. They don't know each other, nothing. But I called the first friend, or texted her, and I was like, girl, like, look at this. This is the exact same dream you had like a month ago. And she immediately went into like prayer, and she took communion, and she did so with the first dream too. And it's like, that's the power of community, because now when she tells me things like that, I'm on high alert, because it's like, okay, I didn't have those dreams, but these two people did. So obviously the Holy Spirit is trying to tell them something that I'm not seeing, because I'm in a vulnerable position, or my back is turned to this attack, or whatever the case may be. But because they have my back, they're able to notice those things. They're able to see it, and they can't piece the pieces together and tell me this is exactly what it is, and this is who's going to betray you, and this and that. But they're like, be on alert, because someone is trying to sabotage you, or something is happening that's going to try to take like what you're building or whatever. Like, and they prayed on it, they fasted on it, you know, they tarried with it, and they were like, this is what I got. And so now when they tell me that, I'm able to be on high alert. So when certain things happen in my life, I'm like, you know what, so and so and so and so told me this. This is what that is. Like, you know, I'm able to be alert. But if I didn't have that community, I wouldn't catch these things. You know, you're very vulnerable, because the enemy has more room to attack, because you have nobody covering you. You have nobody looking out for you. You have nobody sewing into you. And like, girl, you need to watch out. This, that, the third is going on. Even with like my family is very in tune with that kind of stuff. And there'll be times where my aunt, and mind you, a lot of my family's overseas. Like, my family's big. So when I say a lot, I still have quite a bit of cousins throughout the US on the East Coast and stuff like that. But majority of them are in the Caribbean, Canada, or Europe. And so there'll be times where my aunt in like Belize, for instance, might call me or text me and be like, I had this dream, this, and this happened. You need to watch out. And my mom might have had a similar vision or dream like 2 weeks prior or something like that. Like, y'all, community is everything. There's a lot of times that happens. And I know in my family, God speaks to us a lot through dreams and visions. And I know even for me, when I have a dream and I tell somebody that dream, I'm like, this is going to happen. Like, it'd be prophetic, y'all. And I'm not I'm not even trying to gas it up, but for real, like when I say something's gonna happen, it be happening. Even last night, I was on the phone with a friend, and it wasn't a dream, it wasn't even anything this deep. We were just talking about relationships and all the ghetto of the dating world. And I was telling her different things that were gonna happen. Like I was like, if you do this, this, and this is gonna happen. And she did it. It happened literally on the phone while we were talking. So I'm just like, community, like healthy community that is in tune, that has discernment, that are praying, that are aware of the spiritual realm and things like that. It's powerful. It's going, not that the devil's not going to try to attack you, because he's always going to try to attack you. A matter of fact, the better and healthier your community gets, the more he's going to try to attack you, because the more you're going to be able to really like hone into what God needs you to do, the more you're going to be equipped to fight. And when you're equipped to fight, he's not going to win, but he's going to try to throw his best stuff out at you for you to get thrown off course, for you to detour, for you to give up, for you to say, I don't know what's going on. This makes no sense. But if you have people praying for you, you have people walking with you and sharpening you and sowing into you and speaking over your life and covering you, then you're able to have more discernment and more awareness and be like, you know, this is what that is, or okay, yeah, I need to do this, or I need to do that. So it's powerful. It's really powerful. And also, I want to say before I move on to the next point, that the devil's always looking to create a wedge between us and God. So by you being an orphan, like let's take it back to the traumatic experience happening. Let's say it was a moment of church hurt or something like that. And I'm not here to minimize anyone's church hurt. Let me just say that I've been through my own fair share of it. I believe everything works out for God's glory. Nothing is surprising to God. He's not caught off guard. So I don't want to minimize your experiences if you're catching this replay or even watching live, because it's real. And I do think we need to address it. But let's just say, for example, you have a scenario of church hurt. So it's a really traumatic experience, like really, really bad example or experience of church hurt. And now there's a wedge between you and God, because in your mind, you're thinking, I went to this church, or amongst, let me not even say just a church. I was amongst the church, the people, the believers, you know, I was amongst the church, the body of Christ. I trusted them. I was vulnerable with them. I went to them in a time of need or whatever the case may be. And they turned their back on me. They talked about me. They backstabbed me. They betrayed me, whatever the case may be. So now you're looking at it and you're like, these people are supposed to represent God, and they did that. They're no better than the world. In fact, they're worse than the world, because my friends in the world never did that to me. My friends in the world never betrayed me like this. My friends in the world, or at the bar or wherever you meet them at, they never hurt me to this extent. So now I'm mad at God, because there's no way God can really exist. There's no way that he can be a good God if I dealt with this level of hurt. So now you already got that wedge happening. It's like a paper being torn slowly. And then with every little thing that happens, because things are going to happen, people are going to try you in these streets, even the saints, trust and believe. There's been some saints where I'm like, listen, okay, if God wasn't really working on me, you can catch me outside. Like, listen, I still throw hands. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I shouldn't be promoting it, but I'm just saying. So I'm like, don't try me. Okay, please don't try Jesus, not me. But I've gotten to that point where I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to let you get me off my rocker, because I already understand that you need some prayer, and you probably need to get some demons casted out of you for real, you know, but people are not always there. You know, people are just not always there. I wasn't always there either. If you catch me on the right day, I still might not be there, to be honest. And so little experiences happen, things go on, and that paper is tearing more and more. And that split is tearing more and more, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger wedge, until you finally get to a point where you're like, I'm just going to stay over here. Like, God is over here, but I'm just going to stay over here. I don't even want to go over here, because in that space, in this gap, is all the hurt. It's all the betrayal. It's all the lies. It's all the backstabbing. It's all that. And so you're like, nah, like I'm good over here. Because even though here, I know it's not really giving me the love that I think it is, it's still fake love. It's still hypocrisy. It's still backstabbing. It's still betrayal. But at least these people are not claiming to follow Christ. At least these people are not preaching a God that's full of love, and then they're full of hate. You know, this is real life stuff. I know it's getting really heavy, but it's real life stuff. So the devil's always looking for those opportunities, those little opportunities to create that wedge. and to get you not only to get far from God, but to fall deeper and deeper into sin. So that's where, again, that accountability comes into play. Like I said, when you have the people around you, even if you're not flat out telling them, I almost fornicated last night. You think about these things, especially when you go to church in your neighborhood and everybody that goes to your church basically lives in your neighborhood. You're going to think twice. Do I really want to go over to Bob's house and be doing the walk of shame at 2 a.m. when I might see Sally as I come out? You really think about these things. So yes, I was like that for years, daily dog, comfortable in discomfort and false love. Right. Because you're like, at least I know what I'm dealing with. At least these people ain't claiming God. Trust me. I done been there too. So, and another thing I want to say before the second point is in 2 Samuel chapter 11, we see that King David was alone when he was tempted into adultery with Bathsheba, which obviously led to a slew of other sins and turmoil to the point where he literally killed her husband, or had her husband killed in battle, sent him there on purpose so that he can try to hide behind the sin. And it literally ended up affecting his bloodline. And it was a bunch of stuff. Y'all, the Bible is interesting. That's why people, I know Shay is an Old Testament girl like me, but people that say they don't read the Old Testament, listen, the scandal that be happening in the Old Testament, it will keep the pages turning. When I do my devotionals, I shouldn't say my devotionals, but my deep Bible studies last year, and I got to that 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't stop reading because it was just so intriguing. I was like, wow, this is really going on. It was very interesting, y'all, for real, for real. So we're going to also see how Jesus was tempted when he was alone in the garden. Again, alone, that sense of vulnerability. The devil loves to get you alone. Alone is vulnerable. Alone is scary when you're alone. Even when you think of the context of a relationship, a lot of people want relationships for what? The companionship, the protection, knowing someone got your back, knowing I don't have to fight these battles alone. If I'm going through something, I have someone to lean on. But when you're alone, life can hit you hard. Life can hit you real hard. And you got nobody to lean on. You got nobody to talk. It's not good, y'all. We're not meant for that at all. I love the Old Testament too late. Yes, it's the Old Testament for me. I'm like, y'all, the stories in the Old Testament are everything. I feel like all the scandalous stories and all of not that the New Testament doesn't have supernatural experiences, because it does, but I just feel like the Old Testament is when God was really just showing up and showing out, all this crazy supernatural stuff happening. It's very interesting. So in short, for the first point, we need community to cover us from attacks and keep us on track. So the second point, how many more points I have? I think I have 3 more points and then I have tips. So I shouldn't keep y'all all night. Okay. But the second point, let's see, is community helps with growth and assistance. So I kind of touched on this before. Like I said, Proverbs 27:17 says that iron sharpens iron, and Ecclesiastes 4:10 says, woe to the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Listen, y'all, I can't tell you how many times I done fell and I had nobody to help me up, y'all. It's like that commercial with that older lady where she's like, help, I'm falling, I can't get up. I don't know if I'm dating myself with that commercial, but if you know, you know. That's exactly what it feels like when you don't have community. Help. I think it's for some alert system for older people. That's how it feels. It's I don't have anybody to help me up. I'm dealing with all this on my own. It makes you very hardened. It makes you very jaded. It makes you very bitter if you're not careful. Because it's why do I always have to bear the brunt of everything by myself? Ain't nobody gonna check up on me. Ain't nobody gonna help me. Ain't nobody gonna lend a hand. God ain't gonna send no help. What's going on? And I really feel like community should be a resource that we can lean on in a time of need. Practically speaking, on Obedience Podcast with Shay and Ashley, y'all watching the replay, you need to go on Obedience Podcast and subscribe, because they be coming with the heat, fire, 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 edges gone. It's just topics just be fire. But a couple weeks ago, I forgot the guy's name. I'm so bad at remembering names, y'all, but it was really a good interview, and he was talking about finances and stuff like that. And he was saying how we need to be positioned as believers and the church as a whole to just be able to be a practical help. Prayer is good. No one's diminishing prayer. No one's saying prayer doesn't work. Prayer is very powerful, but let's put some action with that prayer, And so when he said that, y'all, I about threw my phone because I was doing Uber Eats while I was watching. I was like, yes, Lord, you speaking, because that's what I live by. Literally, that has been my life motto. I want to help you tangibly as well as spiritually. I don't want to just pray for you. I want to, and this is why I work so hard, because it's honestly honestly one of my goals in life, like for instance, to open a homeless shelter, because I've been homeless, and Atlanta has a really, really high homeless population. Honestly, every state at this point is getting pretty bad. I want to be able to provide safe housing for homeless people, especially families, because it's dangerous in these streets. A lot of kids get abducted, killed, raped, women, all that. It's diseases spread like wildfire. It's not a good sight. And I'm like, I want to be able to provide resources. I want to be able to provide a roof for them, job training. If someone comes to me, a single mom, and she needs a car, I want to be able to say, here's a down payment for a car. And it's a nice down payment, like where she doesn't have to have a car note if she doesn't want to, or not a high one at least. Being able to really be tangible help, it makes a huge difference. It really does. And so we're meant to look different from the rest of the world. And when we start looking like the rest of the world, it becomes a problem, because the rest of the world ain't going to really be there for you. Like, we know this, they ain't going to really be there for you. It's every man for himself. They really don't care about your growth as a person. At the end of the day, it's really just about do what makes you happy, do what feels right in the moment. They're really not, they're about growth as far as tangible, like superficial stuff, getting a bigger house, just for your benefit, or even just on what looks good on paper. So getting more degrees and all that. Nothing's wrong with that. But it's like, we want to grow as individuals. We want to grow on the inside out, not just on the outside, and you're still the same person on the inside. We want to be evolving. And so that's one of the important things, especially, like I said, with Christian community. And so, excuse me, life requires growth and assistance, and we are really called to be the hands and the feet. I always talk about when I was at my church in Virginia, in the same church I was talking about, where we all lived in the same neighborhood pretty much. They were, honestly, and this is so sad to say, they were the first church that I was a member of, because there were churches that I went to that I wasn't a member of, and I saw them do this. But they were the first church where I was a member of, where I saw them come alongside and literally help with everything. Okay. When I was pregnant, we moved twice, because we moved into a house that we thought was great, but it had a mice infestation. So we had to move out. That was dramatic. They paid for both of the moving trucks. They came and helped us move. I'm talking a boatload of people. Like the first move that we had, I remember I opened the blind that Saturday morning because we were in an apartment, and it had like a long walkway to get to our building door. And my mom was like, are they here yet? Are they here yet? So I opened the blind. Y'all, I saw a squad of people walking in. Like, I'm sure my neighbors were probably like, what in the world? It was literally about 25 people that came in and helped us move. Didn't ask for money. Didn't ask for nothing. We even made breakfast for them, like got donuts and coffee stuff. They barely even ate it. They were like, no, we good. We were like, no, please take it home. Like, we're not trying to eat all these donuts. They weren't even looking for that. They were like, we just want to come and help. Then we had to move again, like 2 months later. It wasn't as many people that time, because now we're like getting to the school year and stuff. So a lot of their kids, the older kids, couldn't come, but it was definitely still about 12 to 15 people that came and helped. And they came with tools. They came with dollies. They had power drills to break down furniture and re-put it back together. I mean, they were ready. Didn't ask for nothing. They took me to my doctor's appointments because I didn't really have a car. A lot of my pregnancy, my dad's car had finally just tapped out because he had a 2000 Honda Civic or something like that. And it broke down with me and my mom on the side of the highway going to my OBGYN appointment in the thick of summer. And me and my mom were literally walking on the side of the highway to get to this appointment, because I was like, I'm high risk. I was on Medicaid. If I miss an appointment, it's a whole big to-do. So I was like, we didn't have money to catch an Uber, y'all. And the struggle was real. I was going through it in my pregnancy. So we're walking on the side of the highway, walking. My church had a church board that was like a Craigslist almost for our church. And anything you needed, I don't care if it was, hey, I got an extra bottle of lotion. Does anybody want this? To, I need a ride to the grocery store. To, so-and-so just had surgery. They need meals. Like, you literally put all your requests, all your needs, your praise reports, everything on this board. And so I went on the board and I asked for a ride, and people got back to me quick. But because we were so far out, we were like an hour and some change outside of town, because my doctors were all over the DMV. So my Bible study leader, the person that eventually became my Bible study leader, he came. His wife was like, yeah, go pick them up. It's fine. He agreed to come, but it was going to take him an hour plus, because at this point it's rush hour. So while we're walking on the side of the highway, this man stops, and he like works at Giant. Giant is a grocery store in the DMV. I don't know if they're in other parts of the country, but he had his uniform on, so I knew he was going there. And I didn't feel any kind of way in my spirit. I was like, God, we gonna take this ride, protect us, because it's like 90 something degrees. I'm in my second trimester. My mom, she's older. We walking on the side of the highway, like it's just a ghetto, just straight ghetto, a hot mess. And he takes me to the appointment. He was like, are y'all gonna be good to get home? I could wait. I was like, no, we're good. Someone from my church is coming. He was like, okay, but if anything, call me if you need it. The church member comes, picks us up. He pays for the tow for the car so they could go junk it, buys us lunch, makes sure that we get home safe, checks up on it. All of this, and this was normal because I had like 4 different doctors because I was high risk. So I had like a fetal cardiologist, my OBGYN, high risk appointments. I mean, I had so many different things, and they were all around the DMV. And anytime I needed a ride, it wasn't a problem. I would put it up like 2 days, 3 days before, just to give people time to check with their spouses and their schedules. And they'll be like, yeah, we'll take you, no problem. One of the men at the church, and then I promise I'm gonna continue, y'all, because I'll be rambling. Hopefully I'm not boring y'all, but y'all, I have to share my testimony because this is how you see God at work. So there's an older man at that church. He's become like a grandfather figure to Christian, and he has been so nice. Like, my mom had to take my dad back to Guyana in 2017 because we couldn't afford to keep him here with his health, and the state wasn't trying to help and all that good stuff, whatever. So my mom took him back, and I was at the house with Christian. He was only like 3 months for like 2-3 weeks by myself with my sister, of course, but she was still working at the government at the time. So I was at home alone, and I had to go to the store. Still didn't have a car. I had to go to the store. I had to do different stuff. So I would put it on the church board. And the first time I did, this older guy, he responded. And I didn't even know him at the time. Like, I'd seen him at church, but we never had a conversation. And so he responded. He was like, I could take you. And so when he came and saw Christian, he just automatically was like, oh my gosh, he's so adorable. You should not be out here trying to walk with a stroller to the store or to catch the bus. Like, he was like, matter of fact, don't even put it on the church board to have to wait for people. Just call me. He gave me his number. He was like, anytime you need a ride, let me know. And that was a relationship that lasted till we moved in 2019. Like, literally when we moved, the last time we saw him face to face, he was about to cry, like, because his face was getting all red and he was about to cry. He was like, I'm really going to miss you guys, because he became like family to us. Every other week, or at least once a month, if not every other week, he would come to my house. All the way at this point, before we moved, we were like an hour and a half away from him, because we, like I said, we moved to Central Virginia. So we're like an hour and a half. And if you hit traffic, it's 2 hours. He will drive up to 2 hours to pick us up to go grocery shopping. And we're not one store shoppers. We going to Lidl, we going to Aldi, we going to Walmart, we going to Costco. He would take us to all these stores, not rush us, buy Christian toys, you know, walk around with Christian in the little kitty carts that they be having, pushing them around and they're playing with him. Then he would still take us out to dinner afterwards. Never asked us for a dime, never made us feel like a burden. This is what it looks like when the church is actually being of practical assistance. When people can feel like they can lean on you in their vulnerable times, and you don't make them feel bad. You don't guilt them and say God's, you know, punishing them. You don't make them feel like a burden or lazy. You just show up ready to serve, and you don't count how long you've been doing it. This man was doing it for over 2 years. Over 2 years. He never was like, dang, y'all still need a ride to the grocery store? Golly, like, y'all ain't got a car yet. You know, he was just like, whatever you need. He would arrange his schedule if he had to, because he was a music teacher in the Navy, and a musician in the Navy, and a music teacher. He'll be like, okay, I can't come Wednesday, but if you could wait till Friday, I could take you, and this and that. I'll be like, okay, cool. And he would come, take us all out to eat, let us even buy to-go food if we wanted, dessert. And to this day, he'll send, every now and then I'll get a check in the mail or something like that. Or he bought Christian his high chair. He bought Christian like some of his fancier toys that helped him learn and develop his skills and stuff. I remember he gave me a gift card to Toys R Us before they closed and went out of business. He was like, here's a gift card, go get what you need. And it helped me get a lot of stuff for Christian that I just could not afford on my own. I wasn't working. I was on state assistance, you know, and my parents were already retired at this point, and my dad was already in Guyana. So a lot of what would have come in the house was going to take care of him over there out of his disability and Social Security. And he, every now and then, he will just be like, I'll open the mail and it's like a check for a couple hundred or whatever it was on his heart. And he's just like, I just wanted to send this to you. Go do something for Christian or whatever. Like, that's what the church should be. We should be like that. We shouldn't be pocket watching and greedy and selfish and, or, you know, you have, but you say you don't because you don't want to help somebody. Like, be a blessing. You don't know what someone is going through. You could literally be that answered prayer. Someone could literally be 2 seconds from Skid Row, and because you have it and you don't want to give it, they end up on Skid Row. You don't know how God is going to use you to bless somebody. But let me get off my soapbox, y'all, because I'll be hooting and hollering on here because I'm really passionate about that topic. I'm really passionate about putting your money where your mouth is. So let me go on and go to the next point before we hear all night. So the next point is that was such a blessing. It's set apart. Like, I had never seen church done that way. It really, at that point, restored my hope in the church. Not a church I was a member of. Like I said, I had seen one other church that I used to attend in Maryland. They're really good with that. They actually have homes and properties that they bought so that they can house people when they have nowhere else to go. They pay people's bills for them if they need it. They call it the mercy houses. So they have a couple mercy houses around the DMV. If you have nowhere else to go, you lose your job, whatever, you could go live in that house. I'm talking a house, like a single family house. You could go live in that house or that townhome, and you can stay there for a year, however long. They're going to, let you live there for really, really cheap till you get on your feet. They'll provide job training. Like, those were honestly the only 2 churches where I've seen it done in that capacity. Other churches, they did what they would typically do, but it wasn't at that level. But it restored my hope, y'all. I'm like, this is what the world needs. When you do stuff like that, it makes you stand out. People are like, wow, they're actually doing all of that for you. It really made them stand out, because every time I would talk to my brother, for instance, because he always lived in Maryland. He never moved to Virginia or whatever with us. And he'll be like, oh, y'all don't need help in moving or something like that, for instance. I'm like, oh, no, the church is coming. Like, they got like 25 people on the list. And he's just like, wow. Like, it was anytime people would ask me, like, you don't need help with this, you don't need a ride. I'm like, oh, no, so-and-so's coming from the church, I'm good. They're just like, that church is really loving. Like, that church is really, it really makes you stand out, because that's not normal. Even in the church, it's not normal, and that's a problem. It should be normal. It should be like, oh yeah, we already knew they do that. It shouldn't be like, wow, girl, they doing all that for you? Listen, my church wouldn't do that. That's a problem. We got to change that. It's not a good look. So anyway, next point, because I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna get riled up. So community helps with purpose and vision. So whether your purpose in this season of life is to be a stay-at-home wife or mom, to work in corporate, to start a ministry or business, whatever it is, y'all. Sorry, I'm stretching out my knee, y'all, because keep me in prayer. I hurt my knee yesterday. But whatever it is, whatever your purpose is, you can't walk that out alone. Like, you're going to need people to come alongside you that are going to help you run the race, that are going to help you execute, that are going to even maybe help you see a better way to do it, whatever the case may be, because you're going to run yourself ragged. Like, again, just doing life alone, it's very tiring. I'm so glad for my community, even here, my community, that I could reach out and touch at a moment's notice is my mom and sister. But when I tell y'all they helped me a ton with Christian, like, I wouldn't even be able to do these lives and as much content as I do if I wasn't living with them, because I would have to always have a babysitter, or Christian will be up in here cutting up, making noise, tearing the place up. Like, so I'm so appreciative for a family that's loving. Because I tell my sister that all the time. I'm like, when I got pregnant, you could have kicked me out. You could have been like, you ain't living with me. Shoot, you better figure it out. But she was like, no, like, I'm going to help you. And she paid for all of Christian's stuff the first few months of his life, diapers, wipes, all that. I had not a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, y'all. I had not even 2 pennies to rub together. I was broke as a joke, okay? Busted and disgusted. I had nothing. So if it was not for my family, I would be completely SOL. So it's like, I hold them down so hard, and we hold each other down, because it's like, if we ain't got each other, what do we have? Especially because, like I said, my parents aren't from here. Most of the help that we would have are in the Caribbean. But to send help from the Caribbean to here, it's expensive. Even if they're not physically coming, but even just to send money, because the exchange rate and stuff, it's very expensive. So they can't help at the capacity that they would be able to if we were all living in the Caribbean, So I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful. And we see this in example. It is such a blessing, Kendall. And we see this example, or this demonstration, in Exodus 18, when we see there's a few verses in Exodus 18 where Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, is talking to Moses. This is after they got out of Egypt, after God done blessed them. The Egyptians, died in the sea. And now the Hebrews and the Israelites are in Canaan, and they just acting a fool, y'all. They're not grateful. They're turning from God. Like, God done showed up and showed out. And they're like, yeah, that wasn't enough. We're tired of manna. We're tired of praising you. What's good? Like, just cutting up. But a prime example of how we act after God blesses us, right? Then I'm included. That's why I said we. But Jethro is talking to Moses, and he's providing wise counsel regarding the purpose that God has for Moses in leading and providing order for the people of Israel. And so Jethro seeing Moses doing this, doing that, passing orders, handling disputes, doing this, da da da. And he's just like, where's the help? I'm paraphrasing, of course. You want to go read it. It's Exodus 18. But Jethro's like, where's the help? Like, why are you handling disputes, handling religious stuff, handling leaders? Like, come on now. You got all these hundreds of thousands of people, probably millions for all we know, and you're doing everything? Like, you need to designate some tasks. And so Moses, the Bible says Moses was working from dusk till dawn, okay, with a group of disgruntled, ungrateful people at that. Like, he was burnt out. Our man Moses was tired, all right? All his life he had to fight, for real. Like, he was going through it. And so then Jethro tells Moses to appoint competent, God-fearing men of truth to be leaders and help him govern the people of Israel. Now, I want to really hone in on these characteristics before we continue on with this point and move on. Community can't just be any old Tom, Dick, or Harry. So I say this all the time. It's like, just because someone might believe in the same God as me, just because we might both, believe in Jesus Christ and all of that, that doesn't mean you need to be in my community, like proximity to me, who I check in with the most, who I spend the most time with, who I talk to. I need to make sure that you are competent, that you are truly God-fearing, okay? That you're not just saying you believe in God, but you're God-fearing. There's a difference. Like, you fear the Lord. You have a reverence for him. You want to honor him with your life. You're not just like, oh, I believe in him and doing your own thing. I can talk to you, but as far as who I really kick it with, you got to fear God. You got to have that reverence, and they should be men of truth or women of truth, So these are good characteristics for even us to look for, even though these were for leaders, but even for us to look for in our community. Are they competent? Are they really God-fearing? Are they people of truth? Are they people that are going to tell you the truth with love, when you need to hear it? Or are they just going to tell you what you want to hear all the time and be a yes man? Are they going to live a double life? Like, you got to look at these things and decipher, like, do I want them to be in close proximity to me or not? But excuse me, we can't ignore basically the characteristics of people that are going to help us with our purpose specifically, because your purpose, honestly, the way I teach it in my business, it's like it can honestly be attached to how you make money. So if your purpose is how you make your living, you really got to be careful, because you're merging the two. But even if your purpose doesn't have to necessarily tie in directly to how you make your living, which I think it always can, but that's besides the point. You still want to make sure that the people that have access to your purpose and your vision are going to be competent, are going to be God-fearing, are going to be people that you could trust, they're going to be truthful. They're not going to be people that you have to wonder about their integrity. You got to wonder about if what they mean, what they say, and say what they mean. You don't just want to seek any old type of community. You want to make sure that they're wise, that they can provide good counsel, and that they're willing to help you with your vision. Because at the end of the day, it's like people might be there, but they're not necessarily going to want to help you with your vision or help hold up your hands when you get tired. Because there's another section in Exodus, I believe, where Moses' hands were getting tired, and Aaron and I forgot the other person, they were holding up his hands so that he can still do the work that he had to do for the people of Israel, And so you need people around you that are willing to not only just support your vision and that you could trust to have access to your vision and purpose, but that are willing to help you in that purpose. Not everybody has to help you, but you do need some people around that are willing to help, because your purpose is bigger than you. It's not just about you. It's going to affect other people. It's honestly about other people, and it's definitely going to affect other people. So you need people that can come and help you execute that, because it's too big for you to just do it on your own. Honestly, like it's way too, even if it is to be a stay-at-home mom, that's still a big task. That's a very important task, because you're raising the next generation. You're raising those arrows that God gave you. So it's very, very important. And you got to protect your vision. You got to protect your purpose. And you can't just seek any old community. You really, really got to make sure that you're getting people around you that are going to provide that wise counsel, whether it's parenting advice, career guidance, sharing business knowledge, whatever the case may be. It would help you make better decisions, and it will keep you from running yourself ragged, So whatever God has you to do in whatever season of life, make sure the people around you are not only encouraging, but you also have some riders with you, some people that are going to roll up their sleeves and get to work, if that needs to be done. So let's talk about how to gain community real quick. And then I think I'll pretty much be done if y'all have nothing else to ask or chime in or whatever. So how to gain community as a believer? Social media, honestly, like even though the world is opening back up now and we have like the ability to meet up. Honestly, I would say join meetups because those are really helpful too. I'm actually about to join a few in this area because I joined some in Virginia and it helped me meet a lot of people and just make connections. Even though I didn't hang with them all the time, it was really helpful. But social media is so helpful, y'all. Like YouTube is a little harder. Everybody that I know on YouTube and I'm close with, we're connected on Instagram, so you can DM. I know back in the day, you used to be able to DM on YouTube. I hate that they took that feature away, but you know, it is what it is. You can at least interact on people's comments, and then from there, y'all could connect or whatever. Because you might run across someone's channel on YouTube, and you're like, you know, I really like what they're talking about. I like their personality, and you guys connect. That's honestly how I met Yasmin, and me and Yasmin collabing every 2 seconds at this point. Like every time there's a collab, I'm up in there, you know. So, and I'm honored that she would reach out to me and ask. But you know, we met on YouTube because I don't even remember exactly how I found her channel, but I think I might have been searching a term, like an SEO term, on a video that I was gonna produce, and her channel came up because she was talking about something similar or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so funny. I like her editing. And I was like, how come she's not bigger than this yet? So I think I had left a comment on the video. Then I found her on Instagram like a couple days or weeks later. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the girl from YouTube. And so I was just like, I saw you on YouTube and I commented. I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, your videos are hilarious. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. We just connected after that. So it's been really fun to be connected. And then from her, she's been the catalyst for me meeting Kendall and Shay and Ash and, you know, Kim and all these different people. It's just like, she's been the springboard. Yes, you guys have really helped me. Yes, you guys helped me too. Like, it's so helpful, y'all, to just be around people that are on fire for Christ. And it's not super fit. It's not cheesy. Like, you know, because sometimes people get real cheesy with their walk with God. And it's like, come on now. Like, we ain't got to be that corny. But it's like, you know, like y'all still got your flavor. You still got your swag, but you don't play about God. Like, I love that. It's just so refreshing. It's honestly an answered prayer. I prayed many years to have friends like y'all. So I'm just grateful, you know. But you could join groups online. You could join online communities. Facebook would be ideal for that because Instagram, it's not as personal as Facebook when it comes to stuff like that. Like Instagram, it could be. I make really good connections on Instagram, but it's mostly on hashtags. You can't join groups and talk and stuff. But if you want that group atmosphere, definitely Facebook for sure. You'll be able to join groups. You'll be able to really like do life with each other. Obedience Podcast has a life group. So there's a lot of creators who have groups on Facebook. And even if they're not on YouTube, they might just have a group on Facebook connected to their blog or their business or ministry. So look up different groups, you know, based on your faith, but also your interest. It doesn't always just have to be faith-based, but it can be your interest. So if you like to travel, I'm part of a few travel groups on Facebook. I'm a part of a few faith groups, including the Obedience Podcast Life group. So there's always something that you can join and do, but you just got to go look for it. And you have to be willing to chime in. You know, if you're going to be a part of the group and you're just going to be a ghost member all the time, like that's, it's not really going to help. You know, at some point you got to get off the wall and put some comments and talk and stuff. But also you could attend virtual events and live streams. I found Yasmin from you. Oh, really? You did? Look at God. Look at God. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Girl, y'all gonna kick me out the group with my ratchet video. I like a little ratchet, you know. I'm still a little ratchet myself, so we both might get kicked out the group, sis. But seriously though, like if I do start that group for myself, or not started, but actually start taking it seriously, you could post a ratchet video or two, just, you know, sparingly, so we don't scare the other people, but you know. But you can attend. Yes, get off the wall. Get off the wall, like MJ said, okay? Michael Jackson, for those who might not know, Michael Jackson said, get off the wall, okay? Stop. It's time to get off the wall. So attend virtual events and live streams. That's how I met. That's actually how I ended up speaking at that women's event earlier this year, where these points are from, because I met her on Instagram, but she was a YouTuber as well, even though she's kind of taking a break from it right now too. But she put together this event in a bigger capacity because she had done it before. And so she asked me to speak. But if we didn't connect online, she would have never asked me to speak. You know, she wouldn't know me. So virtual events help. And then from that virtual event, from me speaking at one day and then moderating the other day, I met other people that now support what I do. So it's just great to get out online. Like, honestly, I think it's even better than in person sometimes because you can meet different people. Because if I was just going out, I wouldn't know anybody on this video right now because they all in different states. None of them are in Georgia. So I would not know a soul on this video right now. I wouldn't know most of you following me and subscribe to my channel because we're all over the world. I have supporters in England. I have supporters in the Philippines. I have supporters in Canada. Like, online literally is a blessing. It could be toxic. Don't get me wrong. It could be a bit much, but it definitely connects the world, and it allows us to make connections with people you would have never met if it wasn't for the internet. So utilize it. Like, not everybody is a catfish or a weirdo or nothing like that. Like, you can really make some good connections. So of course, the next point is to do it in person. So this is where the meetups come in. I think meetups are great. If you're not someone who could like just go out somewhere and just meet people on a whim, I say join groups that meet in person. So that's where meetup.com comes in, and they literally have groups for all sorts of things. They got faith groups, they got singles groups, they got age groups like 30 and over, or 30 to 40s, or 20 to 30s. They got mommy and me groups, they got single father. I mean, literally anything that tickles your fancy, unless your town is really, really small and you don't live in like a big metro area. You pretty much can find anything. If you live in a big metro area, you'll find anything. If you live in a small town, it might be a little harder, but you're going to find something. You just might have to travel a little further to meet them. But some of the groups meet every week. Some do things sporadically throughout the month. Some of them have a schedule. Some of them have like actual structured events that you could go to. Some just attend other events together. Like they'll go to the movies together or go to comedy shows together. It's whatever tickles your fancy, but definitely check it out. And I think Meetup is good because it takes the pressure of you having to go out and make the connections yourself, because you're going to an event with people or you're going to do something with people. So it lightens the load. For me, I meet people all the time. Honestly, it's not hard for me to make friends. It's a blessing and it's a curse because sometimes I have tunnel vision. I just want to get in, get out, not talk, but people always talk to me. It's been like that ever since I was little. And honestly, I don't think I have the most welcoming spirit. People tell me that, but I be feeling like I'm mean. I don't know. Like maybe it's my resting bee face. I don't know. I just be feeling like I'm not this person, but I wasn't when I was younger because I didn't like people and I used to be really, really shy. So I definitely was not nice when I was younger. But once I hit like 9, 10, I still felt like I wasn't that nice, but people were just like, oh my gosh, I love your spirit. Like, you're so warm. And I'm like, I am? Just like, wow, okay, thanks. But it's not hard for me to make friends. I could go out to a restaurant and by the time the night is over, I'm leaving, exchanging numbers. We're planning when we're going to hang out. Like, that's just how I am. But if that's not you, join Meetup. Honestly, it's the best thing you could do. If you're part of a church, then I would say definitely, hopefully they have like a social calendar. Some churches are better with this than others. And it doesn't have to be through the singles group or anything. Honestly, some churches just have a calendar where they're like, we're going to go to the movies or we're going to go bowling or whatever. Try to go to those events. You never know who you might become friends with, because the thing is, like, on Sunday morning, you really don't have time to get to know people like that. Like, y'all rush into Sunday school, then you go in service, you might be in the choir, they might be, praise team or whatever, or the dance team or children's ministry. And then after church, you're trying to clean up and you're trying to go eat because you're hungry. You're not really like making an intentional effort to talk to people you don't know. We tend to just kind of say hi to who we know. You might say hi to someone you haven't seen before in passing, and then you talk to who you know and you roll out. So those extra like Bible studies, if y'all have corporate Bible study, or life groups, if you do life groups, those are times to meet people and get closer. Those church events where they have plays or concerts or outings, like, go out and meet people. Like, if they constantly see you, someone's going to talk to you. If you at a church and you going out and ain't nobody talking to you, it's time to find a new church home, because that's a problem. Like, that's problematic for me. As for me in my house, I need to be talked to, because I'm gonna talk to you. So I need you to talk to me. Us as watchers appreciate you guys communicating with us in the comments or DMs. I love it. I absolutely love it. Honestly, I love having folks in the comments, because I could be on here rambling, but if nobody's watching and no one's commenting, it's just kind of weird. Like, after a while, it's like, But look up local events too. That's something else you could do. So you could go on Eventbrite and you could put in the day that you want to go out. and the type of event, if you know what type of event you want to go to, and it will pop up with everything. For me, I just put in the day. I don't put in the type of event because something might come up I'm not thinking about, like an art expo or whatever. And then I'll be like, oh my gosh, like to my photographer, I'll be like, we should go here, we should go there, because we're both single. And thankfully I have community, so I have flexibility to go out and still like try to attempt to live my best life, every now and then. And we try to go out once a month at least now. At this point, I hijacked her schedule and her social life. So, but she likes it. So we're good. She likes it. But we look up events like that. I'll be like, oh my gosh, we should check this out. Or I'll see someone put up something in Atlanta and I'm like, oh, we should check this out or whatever. So that helps a lot. The third point of how you could build your community is to start a community. Honestly, sometimes we don't have community because we're meant to start it. You might be meant to start a life group. You might be meant to start a ministry. You might be meant to start a meetup group. Whatever you want that you're not seeing, or whatever you see that's like pissing you off. So maybe there are a bunch of mommy and me groups, but they always want to do the same thing. Like they always want to do stereotypical, let's go to the playground type stuff. And you're like, I want a mommy and me group, but I want us to also have like mommy days and then days where it's us and the children. Like maybe you want mommy and me days, but then just mommy days within that group, and you don't see that. Start that, because I can guarantee you're not the only one thinking that. There's other moms out there, and this is just an example, who are probably like, dang, like I would really love to be part of a group of moms that I could bring my kids around if I want, but where we can also kick it as moms and just not lose ourselves in motherhood. So that's a prime example. If you want a group of single friends that believe in God, and you don't have that, or not as much as you want in your hometown, maybe you should start one, because I guarantee you there's other people probably thinking that, but they're too scared to start it. And they're like, dang, I wish this was around. Or maybe they just don't have the capacity to start it. So they're like, if it's there, I would join, but I can't run it. I can't, start it. But if you start it, they'll join and you'll make connections and meet new friends. So if there's something that you want to see that you're not seeing, go ahead and start that group. Go ahead and start that meetup or that ministry. Like I said, it could be where you meet once a month to start. I know people who have literally started groups that way, because they're like, I just wanted to have friends around this one topic, or friends that share this interest with me. Then it became a big meetup group after that. So start the group, start something. If you want to talk to people more, start going live, even if you don't have a lot of friends near you. That's what I started doing. And honestly, two of my friends, if you watch my video of me praying about my crush was one of the people in this group that was doing these lives every Wednesdays during the pandemic. And they started because they're like, we still want to like talk to people. We still want to feel connected. So we are not able to feel that where we're at right now. So we're going to just go live every Wednesday and just have these conversations. And it really became a big thing. They would talk about all sorts of stuff. We talked about the Monica and Brandy verses to, the election, to church hurt, to Christian hip hop. I mean, we literally would cover so many different things, but end with like an encouraging word and prayer and things like that. And it was just a really good live. Like I looked forward to it. I honestly became like a standing speaker, especially when it became anything about women's issues, race, things like that. They'd be like, Delle, come in here. We need an opinion. So, but it was so much fun. And I made friends even through that. Like there's some people that I met through there because we were always in the comments together. And it's like, hey girl, how you doing? You would think we knew each other. And some of them I've met in person, others I haven't, but we still are connected because they decided to show up every Wednesday because they're like, we want to feel connected. And if we want to feel connected, surely other people will want to as well. And so sometimes you just got to take that leap and say, you know what, I'm going to jump out there and I'm going to do it. And then other people are going to come, they're going to support you, and they're going to appreciate you for it because they're going to be like, I was praying for this and I did not know how it was going to come to pass. And then you'll be able to help not only make your own friendships, but other people make friendships as well. So you never know. You just never know. You got to take that chance though, for sure. So you can start like Christian creative groups, Christian entrepreneur groups, mommy groups, like I said, travel groups, whatever it is. But these are just some examples of how you can build your community, but utilize social media. Instagram is a great place to meet people, and YouTube, like I said, I meet a lot of people on YouTube, and I meet a lot of people through Instagram, through the hashtags, and YouTube through the collabs and stuff that I do. I meet a lot of people because they'll see my name and then they'll follow me, and then I follow them, and then we get to talking and things like that. So those are all the points I had. I actually did not talk as long as I thought I was going to. So like I said, hopefully I didn't bore y'all. But I think I covered everything. I don't think I missed anything yet. So we're good. I mean, that's all the points I had. But all in all, community is important. Like, don't be afraid to go out there and make friends. Don't be afraid to go out there and just expand your community. Everybody doesn't need to automatically be your best friend, but what's meant to be will be. Like me and my photographer, we met on Instagram in 2019. Was it 2019 or 2020? No, 2020. We met, feels like 2019. 2020 was a long year, y'all. But we met on Instagram in 2020 because she was starting back up her photography business. And she found me on the hashtags under like Atlanta blogger or something like that. And she DM'd me. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought she was a bot or a spam page because she didn't have a lot of pictures up at the time. I didn't know her obviously, so I was like, I don't know. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna answer this and see. And so I answered her. We did my photo shoot. If you saw the picture with my head wrapped, I had on like a honey blonde wig. My head was wrapped, and I had on a T-shirt that said Young, Gifted, and Black, and Christian had on a red T-shirt that said the same thing, and we were outside. That was that photo shoot. We took it for Black History Month, and I also the brand. I was a brand ambassador for them and stuff. So, after that, we connected. I was like, oh, she's funny. She's tall like me. I don't feel like a giant sitting next to her, which is always refreshing. And we just connected. She did good with Christian and all that. And then after that, we just kept in touch. And her cousin asked her to speak at a women's event in the Atlanta area. And, we kept connecting and it just grew into a friendship. And then last year, I invited her to come out for my birthday. I feel like we hung out one more time before that, but don't quote me. But I know she came with me to the Trap Museum for my birthday, and we had a great time. I was like, I can talk about God and trap with you? Yes, come on. Jesus and trap music, that's what it's about. Like, but it was so much fun, and she couldn't come out to eat with us, unfortunately. But after that, I was like, oh yeah, we about to hang out. Like, you about to be my road dog for sure. Like, it's you and me, okay? We gonna be friends. You gonna be my friend. Oh my gosh, I'm having too much fun with y'all. But now we're at the point where, like I said, we're going out once a month. I told her that when we went to the wine festival. I was like, so at this point, we're going out once a month. Like, you really don't have an option here. You can choose what day, but just know you're going to have to show up because I'm having too much fun hanging out with you. And it's a whole friendship. Like, we're too knee deep at this point. So but she likes it because she's a homebody. So she's like, for her, it gets her out the house. And I'm like, for me, I'm not a homebody. If I'm home, I got things to do. Otherwise, get me outside. Okay, I'm for the streets. I'm like, get me outside. So I'm like, it's a perfect yin and yang. Like, I get you out your comfort zone. You give me someone to hang with, so I'm not always by myself, So it's just perfect. You just never know how a great relationship could form. And even with Michelle, me and Michelle had a blast. Like, we talked in the comments and stuff on YouTube, and I was like, she's nice and everything. But when you actually get around someone, it's like, you're really cool. Like, I'm having a good time with you. We having some fun. I didn't expect you to be this vibrant. Like, this is amazing. So, you never know. And I'm gonna see all y'all at some point. Like Yasmin said, we're gonna do a meet and greet and might have to start in the Southeast US first, and then we do like an East Coast joint where we meet kind of halfway or something. But we're gonna figure something out because we gotta have like a Christian YouTuber girl time type meetup or something because it's about to be lit. It's about to be lit. And y'all always welcome to come to my house because now that I got me a grill and I'm grilling now, what? Y'all can't tell me nothing. So I'll hop on the grill. I'll put some chairs and tables outside. We can chill in my yard. My yard is pretty big. I mean, the neighbors might be kind of nosy, but we can chill and kick it in my yard. My neighbor over here, he might have some music. He got a whole stereo outside, so he might play some music for us, and we be lit. So either way, that's all I have for y'all. So if there's no prayer requests, I'll pray. If you have a prayer request, drop it in there. But yeah, like, go out and make that community. So it's waiting for you. Go get your community, sis. And next week, like I said, it's going to be Thursday. So I'm going to update the flyers and everything to let you guys know. And my mom will be on with me. We're going to be talking about growing up Caribbean American. So from my perspective and her experience raising kids in the U.S. versus in the Caribbean, because my older brother, he was actually born in Guyana and came here young. And so she did have that experience of like raising a kid in the Caribbean versus raising a kid here. So that should be an interesting conversation. I would love to do a meetup and I need your mama's cooking. Yes, y'all come on down. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and pray for us though. Y'all just remember the verse for the month. What is the verse of the month? I'm telling y'all remember the verse of the month, and I can't remember that joint. Y'all remember it. Look at the last the live prayer and praise reports from this month. I cannot remember the exact verse, but y'all, pardon me. It's just been a lot going on. But remember the verse for the month and meditate on it. And just keep me in prayer for my knee, that I don't have to go to the hospital. It's feeling better than it did yesterday, but I just got to be careful, especially hopping in and out the car. And that I can get my own car soon. So for those who don't know, I have been driving, but it hasn't been my car. So I want to get my own car soon. My car went kaput earlier this year. I had to let that joint go. So yeah, that's where we're at. Not earlier this year, I'm sorry, last year. It went kaput last year. So I'm just trying to get my own again. So definitely pray for that. But I'm gonna go ahead and pray, and then I will be out of you guys' hair. So, dear God, we just want to come to you and thank you for another day, Lord, another day above ground, to just honor you, to praise you, to glorify you, Lord. We want to thank you for provision. We want to thank you for the visions that you've given us for our lives, the purpose that you've given us. We want to thank you for just community, Lord. Even when we might feel like our community isn't what it should be, maybe it's not as big as we would like, we just thank you for the people that we do have that we can reach out to and talk to, even though we might not be able to physically see them in person, but we can send them a DM and talk and laugh and just be there to encourage one another, because life is not meant to be lived alone. We thank you for that, Lord. We thank you for the ways in which you always provide for us. Even if we don't acknowledge it in the moment, we know that you're always providing for us. We know that you're always there for us, meeting our needs and exceeding it, and just really going above and beyond for us and loving on us, Lord. So we just want to thank you, Lord. I pray that everybody on this live and watching the replay, that they will just get the community that they need, whether they already have it and they're looking for that community to grow, or whether they don't have it at all. I just pray that you bless us with the right friendships, the right connections, the right, purpose builders, and people that could come alongside us and not just live life with us, but help us be sharpened so that we can continue to glorify you and grow in you, that can help us with our purpose and what we're meant to do in this life, that can cover us and speak over us and make sure that we're protected in the physical and the spiritual, that can pour into us, Lord. I pray that you really just make those connections, those kingdom connections, Lord. I pray against anybody that might be in their circles, in their lives, that's trying to sabotage them, that's trying to come against them. Anybody that should not be in their life that is, Lord, I pray that you would reveal that to them, and that you would give them the strength to make the appropriate steps to either end those friendships or create distance, or whatever you need them to do in this season, Lord. May we always be tapped into what you need us to do, and always be obedient to the instructions that you give us, Lord. I pray that you just help us to keep glorifying you, that you help us to be the hands and the feet, to not just offer spiritual help, but physical help, to really be that answered prayer for people when we're able to, Lord, and to not be tight-fisted, to not be selfish or self-seeking, because we are blessed to be a blessing. We give and we freely receive. So I pray that you help us to really just think outside of ourselves, Lord. Lord, I thank you for what you're doing right now with your people. I thank you for the ways in which you're growing their YouTube channels, their ministries, their businesses. You're nurturing their families and protecting our children and everything, Lord. I thank you for all that you're doing right now and all that you've done, Lord. Even if you do nothing else, you've done a ton, and we're not even worthy. So we just want to always remember that. And I thank you for what you're going to do, because even though you've already done enough, you're a God of plenty. You're an abundant, loving, gracious, merciful Father, and you continuously bless us, Lord. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, Lord. And I pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, y'all. I'm about to roll on out of here and wobble my way through Uber Eats. Oh my gosh, my knees are going out. Lord, help me, Lord. But I'm going to see y'all here next Thursday. So Tuesday is going to be the upload. Thursday is going to be the live stream. And I'm just going to do this. And then, yeah, we're just going to figure it out for Instagram. But thank you for joining me live. I appreciate y'all. Please be safe if you're out and about. If you're driving home, be safe. If you're home, make sure you get some rest, eat some good food. And if you are joining me in the fast, like I said, this isn't like an organized thing, but if you decided to join me, just hold on a little while longer. The month is almost over. I hope you get a revelation, because I am. Okay, we're going to talk about that in July. But yeah, so have a good night, y'all. Love you. I'll talk to you later.